Hello everyone, this is Dryden001 and we're going to be doing Strat Chat today. This is the 14th Strat Chat, and it's all about Winston. We're going to be talking about how Winston can basically deal with Baguette. Because we've talked about Baguette dealing with people, now we're dealing with Winston and Baguette, of course. A couple things to start out. If you're watching this on Twitch, welcome. If you want to keep up to date, because I know I usually switch around the time. I'm trying to figure out a perfect time for Strat Chat, but it's going to always be on Fridays. Right now we are doing it at 3:30. Last time I think it was 3, and then we used to do it at 5 or 5:30. I can't remember, but it's difficult. So yeah, today we're going to be talking about Winston, of course, and if you're on YouTube, welcome. Basically, I post all of these VODs up onto YouTube, and let me just switch this to invite only just in case. So I post all of these to YouTube, and so a lot of you might be watching this on YouTube, a lot of you might be watching this live stream during a VOD. I suggest checking out both because I don't do the same things on each. The only thing that's consistent as Strat Chat is on both, but Twitch is of course live. So up to you, pick your poison. Hey, Thesis. Of course, I also post stuff on Twitter. Basically, everything gets posted on Twitter. It's Dryden001, but instead of the E, you get a 3. So check that out if you want to. First thing off is we need to answer some questions. So I posted out all the way on the Discord server, and basically, I got a reply. I'm basically going to answer this question first, and then we'll open up to questions that I'll answer during. So the question's from Strawberry, Jake. How do you find a main or pool of heroes, and how do you balance practicing everyone to be flexible for your team versus practicing a couple of heroes to be able to play them at a higher level than you otherwise would be able to? Let me shut my door real quick. I just realized it's wide open. And I don't want to be bothering anyone. So basically, finding your main, it's pretty simple. And you'll find like a correlation. Probably someone you're good at is usually the best, as well as someone you like to play. Now, finding a main, you don't have to. If you're having problems finding the character that you're going to be playing, sometimes it just finds you. I know that recently I've been playing a lot more Pharah. And I think I've been the person that has said that I'm the person without a main, even though I do say a couple times that a character is my main. It's just usually because they're up on my list of things I like. But mainly it's usually the characters that you play the most, and you can have multiple mains. It doesn't matter. Being flexible for your team. So a good thing to do, it's probably the best thing, is I need to... That's Chris. So the main thing to do is you want to be able to play at least one character in each bracket. So you want to be able to play at least one support. You want to be able to play at least one tank, and you want to be able to play at least one DPS. Don't worry about defense or offense heroes. Just pick one of each. But mainly the idea is to be flexible. You really need to just have one of each. That's really the minimum. You could have two just in case someone picks, but most of the times you could probably work with it. And it also depends on your rank. So if you are way up there, then a lot of the times comps do really matter. But sometimes it's just you playing what you want. I personally know that I've been trying to fill every single time, and it's honestly not been fun for me because I pick the support, I pick the tank, and then I lose. And I decided, screw it, I'm just going to play Pharah, and I did. And basically, you have triple DPS, so what? Just as long as you have one support and one tank, you're usually golden. Even then, sometimes it doesn't even matter that much. Just make sure you can keep healing onto yourself, and if you're able to get output. And then the other part to it is, and you did ask this, of being good on one hero or being okay on multiple. This is just preference. 100% it's just preference. Where do you see yourself playing Overwatch? Where do you see yourself having the most value? If you feel like you have the most value by helping your team out in any which way, good for you. That's where the flex player comes in. But you don't have to be a flex player. You can be a Tor main if you want. Or whatever. If that's what you're good at, go ahead and do that. And a lot of times people might complain, but not too bad most of the times. That's pretty much the gist of it. Let me double check and make sure I got everything in that question. There is the one factor that I like to do is make sure you're really good at one hero and then have characters that you can play on the side. So like Overwatch League, for example. Sabiobi, let's say that, SBB. He, Tracer main. 100% Tracer main. But you know what? He can play Widow. And not too bad either. So keep that into mind, as well as you don't have to equally balance your play. If you don't like playing a certain hero, don't force it. Usually, if you're not having fun on a hero, then you're not going to be playing that well on it. That's usually the gist. But yeah, that's our question from Discord. And let's go ahead and move on. Thesis, if you have a hypothetically terrible team, what is the best way to carry run and gun or support, try to protect everyone and let everyone do a little damage in your experience? So my old thing a long time ago, and I've mentioned this a few times, is I would try to support and keep everyone alive. But people who are taking too much damage are going to die anyways. The biggest issue that I run into, especially if you're queuing with multiple people, that's a thing as well, to prevent that queue with multiple people, because then there's consistencies, especially with tank mains and support mains. There's consistencies with that. The issue is the killing potential, and that's the reason why, and me and Garrett have talked about this, and this is why I play Pharah most of the time, is because you need that killing potential, and you need someone to confirm the kills. Because if you're supporting someone that's not doing a lot of damage, then you aren't doing value. If you have a Reinhardt shield up and no one's standing behind you, you're an ult battery, and that's why you're losing. And so that's why I've been playing Pharah, is because that's what happens. I do all that, and people don't really use it that well. That's why some people say that Zarya is like a solo carry, because people being stupid, you can bubble them and get charge. But there's still the whole factor of people need to help follow up with your Graviton Surge. You can get Graviton Surge, but you need help and follow through. So try your best to put it all in your hands. So if you're having problems getting support, if you're having problems getting killed, find out a way that you yourself, without anyone else, can do that. And you just fit yourself into that. And I've been doing a lot better. I've jumped like 500 SR fairly quickly. And I'm catching up with some of my friends, so it's pretty nice. I think I'm like 2300 SR at the moment. Which I think like 2 weeks ago I was like 2000. No, like a week ago I was or something like that. I've dropped to 1900 within the last 2 weeks. So, and then I've worked all the way back up. Basically being fair. The one time where I kind of freaked out because I'm like the self-proclaimed Phil character, Flex character person. The time I almost had a heart attack was when a guy told me that I need to play Pharah because I'm a Pharah main. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is what my life's become. Pharah every day, all day. But yeah, let's go ahead and move on. So I'll be answering questions throughout the entire thing. If you have any questions in Twitch, go ahead and put them in. When I find time, I'll jump in and answer questions. Most of the time, it'll almost be immediately, at least when it comes over to me. YouTube, go ahead and put comments down below, and I will answer them at a later date. But yeah, let's move on. So, okay, so let's go through Winston overall. First thing is his primary fire. His primary fire is, we're just going through an overall Winston, by the way. Just a basic guide, and then we're going to talk a little more in depth and a little more current stuff. Yeah, his gun's AoE, so try to make sure that you're hitting multiple people at once. That's where you get a lot of value. And it's like no aim, no brain, Winston main kind of deal. It does very little damage over time, so armor screws you over. So what you can do is you can primary fire in melee, and basically you just hold melee and you just do this, and you just like click melee over and over again. Your ammo lasts for longer, and you can burst down ammo, but you do technically do more damage with the gun. So try to figure out if you need more ammo or not, and you can just alternate just left clicking and then punching. Basically punch all armored targets because it does more DPS over time because it's a higher impact than your gun. Because how it works is, I believe it removes 5 damage from the overall, but if it's under 10 damage that the person's taking, it's halved. So his gun's under 10 damage, so you're like, I don't know what the damage is per bolt or whatever, but yeah. Melee, burst down, all that stuff. Just do that when needed. Pretty simple. Melee is going to be your best friend. If you're a Winston, meleeing is basically how you're going to become, like, there's like the levels. I think like Masters to Grandmasters Winstons do these, or Diamond to Masters. I can't remember exactly, but it's it's one of those of the good Winstons do this. And then next thing is his shift ability. This is where things go whoom, up into the air. There's huge stuff with this. So main thing with his shift is there's an initial boost, and then the momentum carries him. And that's very important, especially in today's meta, because that means Baguette can knock him away along with other heroes. So basically, let's go ahead. Boom, initial boost, and then I can control, and I just kind of like fall around, hit the ground, boom, do an AoE. The AoE burst that you hit when you land does have fall off, so try to hit directly on people you want to do the most damage to. So like if I land, so if someone's standing like right here at this pole, let's do this rock. So if this rock's a person, I land right here, boom. I do a small amount of damage, probably like half of what I would. If I land, boom, directly on the rock, boom. They take all the damage. So that's another thing as well. Another thing that I suggest is having a secondary bind to your leap. So I have it on left shift, and I also have it on right mouse button, or basically your usual alt fire. Since Winston doesn't have an alternate fire, I do it on right click like this, boom. And the reason is because sometimes it's easier, and I do find that a lot of the times you're doing a lot of stuff on the keyboard with your left hand or right hand, depending on which hand you're playing with the keyboard on. But the main thing that I run into is with a thing called short jumps. So you have your basic jump where you, boom, launch to the air, do whatever you want. But there's another thing called short jumps that you can do because it's a little easier. So what you do is you hold the S button or back to walk backwards when you jump, and you go shorter distance, whereas you would go farther with your regular shift. See? And so that's how you can close gaps where you don't want to leap very far and have a lot of air time. That's very important against Baguette, because the more airtime you have, the longer she has to use shift against you. So keep that in mind. And you also want to bait out shift. So strafing and stuff like that is pretty nice mid-air. Landing, make sure to land on all enemies. The other thing that I never see people do, and this is very entertaining actually, let's go ahead, show lobby. I'm going to go back to lobby. We're going to add AI. And we're going to do Lucio on the other team. Hard Lucio, team 2, add. And then we're going to go into settings and we're going to change up Lucio. So Lucio, amp it up's enabled, disabled, soundwave disabled, melee disabled, ult disabled. Basically everything's disabled. No damage. Damage received, I don't care. Healing dealt, healing received, health. So what we're going to do is we're going to have it at like 33 health or whatever. We want to be able to one-shot him so that I can just show. I can't remember. We'll have to see. I think landing on him only is going to be able to make him survive. And primary fire is disabled. Perfect. So let's back up here and start. So I'm basically going to show like what happens when you jump, because you do a damage, and so you want to get the most burst damage onto people as possible. And a big thing is using your melee before you hit the ground is pretty sweet. So I'll show you, like, if you jump and then I missed that jump up. Oh my gosh, I'm terrible. So yeah, you jump up and then boom. I just meleeed there, and you can see his hand kind of dropped. So you get melee damage, but you cancel the melee. So it's one of those, if it's free melee, do whatever you want. Oh, hey, they're right here. So, good way to practice short jumps. So I'm just going to jump onto someone. Let's see. And I missed. I'm terrible. You also hit people as you're moving. So yeah, I hit him, did half damage. That one I hit a little too far away. So yeah, this is something to practice as well. It's just see, I did more damage to that guy. Pretty slick. And then you just go, you just melee when you land. That's pretty much the best way to do, is just melee in the direction. Melee, I believe, is AoE. I can't remember if it is. I think it's just directly. But yeah, just do that jump and then boom, melee. And it's pretty sweet, pretty slick. Completely free, cancel the animation. That's another thing that that basically changes per player who plays Winston is, see, I one-shot that guy. That's the main thing that, like, changes, like, Winston players that are good and Winston players that are great, is they do this, and some players that are higher up don't do this, and it's completely free. Yeah, I meleeed too early. Yeah, practicing that. I'm a little rusty on this because I don't play Winston that often. I used to play him a lot. But stopped because I started playing Pharah more. Next thing is the Hanamura jump. So we're on Hanamura for a reason. Another thing you can do with the shift is lock yourself in air. So a cool thing to do is this jump. So you get up here. Need to get in a better position. So so you want to lock yourself up there and kind of get into a position where you're just kind of floating around. So that's right here. Okay, you see how I'm just like floating around? I can wait here until my shift comes up, and then I slide. Boom, get all the way back here. So a lot of people wonder why there's people on Hanamura, high levels, defend up here, and that's because the Winston can jump straight over there. So you don't want to really hold at the choke because dive can just dive over it. Besides that, pretty simple. But yeah, there's some stuff like this. I know you could float on the ledge on Hanamura. No, Volskaya. There's a little floating ledge. You can also do that too, just surfing the rooftops. And I suggest going into multiple maps and just kind of surfing. see how it goes. So that was all the stuff with shift. Entertaining stuff, right? Let's see. Next thing is, of course, bubble. Bubble is 600 HP. A lot of people screw up because they there's like a weird funny thing that they'll do, where they'll use it as they dive in. So doing this. So if you notice, I dropped it behind me, and this is a common problem you'll run into with them, and it's the animation. So don't trust the animation. Basically, so you know how you press a button and he pulls it out and drops it? It actually, that animation doesn't matter. So let's say you get canceled out of that animation. Someone flashbangs you or something like that. Your bubble still deploys, no matter what. Because it deploys the moment you press a button. See? Boom, right here. So I hit it right here. So let's see if I can... So a lot of people try to time it, and this is where things go crazy. It's really easy to notice this, and I actually say this a few times in VODs, because this will happen. Oh no! Oh no! It's all the way back, and then I die. That's pretty much what happens. So that's a common thing, is to just forget about timing it. You just press a button, drops. Pretty simple. Try to use it as reactionary, because a lot of people don't. So like if you expect like something bad to happen, Diva Bomb, Zarya grabs pretty good with it, because you can go boom, the grab hits the side of the bubble, and then you can kind of protect yourself, kind of. It's better than nothing, honestly. But yeah, the other thing of like dropping it on the Diva Bombs, it's like doing the flyover, and then it lands right there, boom. But yeah, you see it lands, because technically when I used it and the animation ended, it was like right here, so it should have dropped right here, but it instead dropped over there. It's pretty slick. Yeah, again, try to not use it on initiation. Use it when you think you're going to take a lot of damage and you need it. Kind of think of it like Baguette's shield. You don't want to take a lot of damage. So, like, you land here and you start shooting. If no one's looking at you, don't use it. Don't use it. But the moment you need to get out, you can bubble, boom, and then get out. And you have that entire thing protecting you on your way out. So, yeah, sometimes you'll use it on initiation, but you don't have to. Another good thing to do is doing this. Oh, I'm terrible. I'm terrible. I missed that jump up. I should have practiced Winston before doing this. So yeah, you do this, and then you drop down. So that's another thing to do. And it's so that you don't take a lot of damage, but you're able to block the barrier, or block people on the high ground. That's a common thing to do. Or just, like, jumping up, boom, and then shooting, dropping down when you start taking too much damage, and then you're back to safety. That's a common thing. Diva does that very often too, because a lot of people will jump and initiate, and then they feel like they have to stay there. And they don't. And you're like, oh no, I'm stuck here. Oh no, okay, let's bubble. Boom, out. So don't waste all your marbles on the initiation. That's a big thing that a lot of people do as well, and this is on every character, is basically wasting everything on the first jump. This is common with Doomfist, common with Genji, common with Tracer. Is basically just kind of going over zealous on the beginning, and then you have no way to get out, or you have no plan. Sometimes Doomfist can get away with it, but you basically have to play your cooldowns very cleverly. That's why I say always right-click to get into combat, because it comes off a cooldown the fastest and you can actually get out with it. Let's see. Let me scroll down through my document real quick that I put up of all the things I needed to talk about. Now is ult. So when he ults, of course, let's go ahead and just do the jump technique. So let's say you want to get back into combat pretty fast, and you're just coming out of spawn. You can basically jump, ult, jump, and boom, you're straight there. Next thing to do is to not melee constantly, because a couple things. One, it obscures your vision. And you're not gonna like it. A lot of people just flail constantly. You're not gonna always want to hit people off the to knock people away, because again, you're knocking people away from you. You can't do damage to them anymore, and you might knock them into safety. So like if with this cliff, to get like cliff kills, ult and then get into position. So like boom, ult, boom, knock, knock. And don't worry about knock, flail, 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 knock, flail, flail, flail. So yeah, let me go ahead and charge my ult again. Other thing is, let me double check. Isolate targets as well. That's a good way to use your ult, is to just make sure that targets aren't doing things you don't want them to do. So like, Soldier 76, he is ulting, boom, ult, knock him into a corner, and just body block. That's a lot of it, body blocking, because you do get 1,000 hit points with armor attached to that, which will just like automatically heal you. But yeah, next thing is, yeah, the extra jump, shorter cooldown on jump, and I believe you get an extra jump after you're done. So like, you ult, and then you, let's see if I can get that. You can see how it just chained straight through them. It also creates space, another thing. So a big thing with tank ults is a lot of people don't know how to use them. They'll use them offensively or in a stall technique, which is a way to use them. Pretty simple. You're not bound to anything. But a good thing to use them as well is basically, and this is something that people don't really understand even when they say it, is create space. That's why people will just say it creates space, and then they just leave it at that. A good example is like, so let's say a Tracer kills your Zenyatta. You're like, oh no, we're 5v6. Diva ults. Why did Diva ult? Well, she's creating space, and the reason is because the other team is going to be like, oh, we need to follow up and get kills. And basically what you do is you just basically stop them from following up. And that's what's beneficial. I should have... Oh, let's change this to give me faster ult charge so I can do that. So a good thing to use is if someone dies on your team, ult and start knocking some of the enemies back to make it an even instead of just a 5v6. So pretty nice. Pretty cool. Ability cooldown time. Yeah, let's keep it. Ultimate generation. Yes. Yes. Spawn with ultimate ready. Yes. Perfect. So yeah, a lot of it is just, that's what people mean when they say create space. Sometimes they don't understand it themselves, so they'll make it sound weird, of like, they say tanks create space. Yeah, they do, but a lot of it is just body blocking and moving people around and basically disrupting things that they want to do. Technically, McCree creates space. Baguette creates space. It doesn't really matter, honestly. It creates a pressure zone that removes issues. So that's pretty much the gist. So let's see if we can. So let's jump. Let's jump and see. You can also stay up in the air. I think it did. I think it did. Or it gets really close. I'm not sure. Okay. So countering Winston. So this is where... So we have jumped off of the basic Winston stuff. I suggest if you have any questions with basic Winston stuff, go ahead and ask them now. But yeah, let's go ahead. So countering Winston. Why is people saying Winston's dead, including me? The main reason why people are saying Winston is dead is because Baguette exists, and she can basically knock you out. It's not too cool. But surprise, surprise, other people do that too. So Baguette's not the only one. Diva, Lucio, and Hog can. I believe there might be other ones. Farah technically, but it's very difficult. And I don't really like doing that with Farah. It's not worth it. But yeah, so Diva, common thing that good Diva players would do is when a Winston jumps, they will fly up and try to knock them off course because, of course, you know his momentum carries and he's not constantly driven, whereas Diva is. So that's pretty much the gist with that. So yeah, Diva, boom, knocks off. Lucio, boom, can knock him off. A little harder because he has to be a little closer and you can't just like drive him down. Diva, no, Baguette has to use shift, and this is where things get a little interesting. She has to hit the shift. So if she's not able to hit that, then nothing happens. You don't have a counter to yourself. They have to use shield bash to stun you for a short amount of time, and that's pretty much it. So yeah, it's not that cool. Hog, I say Hog simply for the reason that, if I remember right, he can basically just hook you. So yeah, he does counter you, but it's very similar to Baguette. So when people think of Baguette, they also have to remember that Hog does the same exact thing, and Hog wasn't considered. Well, he was considered a counter dive, but he wasn't considered like the dive killer. On the other side of it, armor really screws over Winston, which sucks for Winston. Now, here's how you not get countered as Winston. This is what we were all waiting for, because everyone who basically knew what they were doing was like, yeah, we know. So some of you might have not known. You might have learned a few things, which is pretty sweet. But this is the main thing, the groundbreaking, people don't talk about this, is how to not get countered. And it's basically, think of Baguette versus Winston as Tracer versus McCree, mainly just because it's all based on hitting the ability. So they have to hit the flashbang in order to stun the Tracer. They have to... and you'll see Tracers, yeah, they won't like it that much, but it doesn't kill them. Well, it does, but it doesn't stop them from doing what they want to do. And that's the big issue, is sometimes a Tracer can still get away with stuff that a McCree won't let them get away with. Just because McCree can't get into that position, and the Tracer isn't standing right next to him. So how does Tracers usually deal with flashbang? The basic thing is reaction time, or just not even getting close. So a lot of the times you're like, oh, McCree's looking at me, boom, dash away, and then he uses his flashbang and misses. So that's pretty much the big thing, is you bait it out, or you get into a position where it's not going to hurt you. And a couple ways to do that is, of course, bubbling, which is pretty sweet. Because yeah, you can bubble midair, boom. You see the hook, boom, drop it. It hits, you miss. I know me and Garrett were practicing this quite a while, of going up in the air, and I was trying to boom block it. Of course, when I land, she would start getting healing. I couldn't kill her. That's the other thing. Every single person who's a Winston is diving towards a Baguette. Why are you diving towards a Baguette? It's stupid. Why are you doing it? You don't need to. Yeah, you jump, you see her, boom, block it, and then you just move in. You bait it out. So yeah, it's pretty much you bait it out. Play a little more defensively. Watch for that. People will call out when flashbang's been used. Say, hey, rocket flail's been used. And you're like, cool, I'll jump in now. She may stun you. Who cares? You're Winston. Just shoot around, make sure that you're not going to get killed because of it. That's when Bubble gets into a little more play, is try to use Bubble before she hits you. And that's so that follow-up damage doesn't kill you, because she can't one burst you. But if you have other people next to you who's on her team, their health can burst you down and you can just die immediately. That's an issue that can happen. So try to bubble when you think the baguette's going to hit you. Because she can't stun you out of bubble, because guess what? You drop it anyways. See? Little fun facts that people don't know about that will actually protect them against baguettes. Let's see. Did I just get a cliff kill? Oh, hey, that's cool. Let's move on. Another thing is ults. So her ult, so Baguette ults, and it works a lot like Zenyatta's ult. And a lot of the times, a Winston will just ult into the Zenyatta, which is pretty slick. He just ults and just knocks the Zenyatta away, and since the Zenyatta's not close to his allies, he doesn't kill them. Likewise with Baguette. Because you're not close, well, because she's not close to her allies, you don't have that issue. And it's pretty cool. Next thing. Another playstyle that you can try doing, it can work, is don't be the first to initiate. Because really, Winston doesn't need to be the first to initiate. Diva can initiate. Tracer can initiate. Sometimes people expect like the Winston to be the first one to jump in. You don't have to, honestly. People use the reason is because he has the least mobility, which is funny because he's a staple in a dive, and he's least mobile. That's why I've always thought that Diva was better, just because of that. But try to jump in for opportunities. So usually a Baguette, when pressured, will just throw everything out there and just start flailing around and everything. And then you can jump in and add into the damage. Granted, armor makes it a little difficult, but it's a thing. It works. Another thing you can do is play Winston like Sombra. Sombra, what she does is she jumps in and she runs fast into the team, which means you could probably take advantage of a Lucio if you want to play Winston like regular and then use your jump to get out. Because really the power that Baguette gets against the Winston is hitting him as he's jumping. Then don't jump. Jump out. If you jump out, she can only hit you farther away. Another thing to do against Baguette is to jump on top of her. And the reason is because while you're doing this, she has an upwards angle. So let's say if I'm Baguette, Winston's jumping from that bell. He gets close, he starts jumping. He has an arc that looks like this to me. It looks like this. So I can hit him during that time. But if he jumps straight up, then the arc looks like this. And then he comes straight down. And if I try to use shift, now I knock him up into the air, and he still comes down on top of me. So try to get a higher angle. Boom, right here. Boom. I land on the Baguette. So if Baguette's on the high ground, I do this. It's harder to hit me on the upward swing. They try to hit you on the downwards, downward swing. So if you make the downward swing straight down, she can't hit you away. It makes it very difficult to hit you. Other things are the short jumps. Pretty slick. Just trying to get that short jump into it. Just minimize your time in air and minimize your time away from her. It's very similar to how a Pharah counters a soldier. The Pharah will fly above the soldier, and the reason is because then soldier has to aim by rotating, as you can see, because as you see, we're rotating all the way down, and I have to rotate up here, and it's harder to aim that way. And so Pharah will try to stay up above, because in order to aim behind me, I have to rotate. I can't just go straight overhead, whereas opposed to this, I can do this. And it's kind of, see, I have to rotate before I go. Whereas this way, I can just do this. So that's why Baguette counters Winston like Soldier counters Pharah, or as a McCree counters Tracer. Yes, it's a counter. It's the end all be all? Probably not. If both players are the same skill level, it's kind of hard to deal with it. But I imagine that it's going to be pretty simple. So that's ways to deal with a Baguette. Another thing is always focus. So with the Winston, you want to be focusing targets, especially in this meta. So if you're playing dive, play dive. Come on, just do it. Don't dance around. You want to play dive. That's kind of how you want to go. Focus your targets. We're also going to talk about if Baguette was not an issue. So we're jumping off of the Baguette meta, and we are now going into of if Baguette ceased to exist. How would you play Winston? And so these are for people in the past or whatever who want to learn how to play Winston back then so that they can understand how to play Winston now. Basically, you're diving. Focus and look for opportunities. This is a big thing with dives that people didn't really do. If you're having problems with dive, this is why. Is patience. So let's say, for example, I'm diving. Let's go all the way back here. So I'm looking over here. I can jump to the front door. I jump to the front door, they step back. That's not a good jump. Okay, we're going to rotate around back here. We're going to heal up a little bit, maybe drop my bubble to get us through. And we're just going to, okay. I can jump through that corridor, make space, and then my team can jump in after. Okay, let's go. Or, hey, there's someone right there on that platform. Boom, jump. Boom, we're right here, and we're shooting, we're killing them. That's why I said make sure you overshoot to land behind someone sometimes or directly on them, and it's so to knock them close to your team. Otherwise, if you're like hitting a sprinting soldier, you knock him further away from you and you can't hit him from that range. And that's more with soldier to just kind of remember. But yeah, patience. Don't just go like, okay, we're coming through the door, diving. Don't worry about that. We're coming through the door, no diving. We're gonna take some poke. We're gonna dance around, maybe come up here. We're looking for an opportunity to get a kill. We want a free, easy kill. And what is a free, easy kill? Well, they're all on the point. Bummer. Okay. Well, looks like there's that Lucy on the side there. Boom. We killed him. Perfect. All we needed to do. Waited for that one guy to get isolated, and then we're in. And that's how dive works. For people who didn't know dive or was having problems working with dive. It's that patience. You don't have to initiate. You want to initiate when you want to. Okay. Now let's say the other team is playing dive as well. You have, of course, peeling and counter dive. So peeling is the main idea of you jump back to aid your allies. So you're shooting. They dive back here. Boom. I'm diving onto them, and they are now having to change their focus so that they don't die, because now we're shooting the people who are trying to shoot our guys. So that's pretty much with peeling. Peeling also is good when people say the term create space. Winston can peel with his ult. He can peel with just shooting. He can knock people back. He can create a bubble. And basically what that does is it creates a pocket for your your ally to survive. And that's what peeling is creating a pocket for your ally to survive. And that's another way for people to say creating space. Then there's... So, counter diving like that is just jumping back onto yourself or diving. It's basically diving a dive. It's exactly what it is. You're diving a dive. So they're diving in. And that's why a lot of times you'll see dives split up. You'll rarely see dives playing like a death ball together. They're always like here. There's like someone here. There's someone over there. There's someone over there. And they're waiting for a perfect opportunity. And they go to jump across. And I go, nope. Boom, land on top of them. And then we start going into them because they dove onto us. And now we have the upper hand because we baited them. And that's the idea of bait tactics. Some people will just let the Zenyatta die, usually in a counter dive, which I'm not really too big of a fan. Just because if the team can't kill the Zenyatta, then I prefer to keep track of my Zenyatta instead of letting him die. But yeah, that's pretty much the main thing. Now let's talk about who to engage on in a counter dive. So a couple things is not everyone's... there's always imperfections in a dive. And the imperfections are speed of the characters. So for example, Winston dives in an arc. D.Va moves forward, but Winston will get there first. D.Va will have to get in after. So that's, boom, instant straggle. That's if the D.Va's reactionary to the Winston. Counter, they might come in at the same time, whatever. That's usually the hardest problem of getting a dive together, is getting your dive to enact on the same time. Sometimes you have a Genji dashing around. So what you want to do is you want to get the guy that's very vulnerable. They dive in, the Zenyatta walks into that doorway. Oh, hey. Boom. Dive there. You hit the target that you can kill. You jump to the target that you can kill. And that's pretty much... That's also dive in a nutshell. Same thing over and over again. It's pretty simple when you actually think about it. You kill who you want to kill. And you call targets. Now this is the other thing, is a lot of people will say that the Winston has to call the targets. Winston doesn't have to call the targets. He can call the targets. He probably should be calling targets. But everyone can call targets. If you have a Zenyatta in the back that's like, hey, I need help in the back, Tracer in the back, you'd be like, that's a target, we're jumping in. Stuff like that. So it's not only for Winston. If you see something that's diveable, call it and jump, and everyone should follow you. The other thing is weak targets is another one. Someone who's already taken some damage. Most of the time through spam, someone's going to be like half health at some point. And that's another thing to jump on, is basically who can you kill? Now back to what is a good target. First one. And this is kind of like, this is the big thing with dive. If you're thinking about it and you're having problems figuring out targets, this is a list. A lot of people will think I'm going to be naming a ton of characters. No. First on the list, who's the easiest to kill? And this can be a lot of things. Someone is completely isolated. Someone's almost already dead. Basically, whoever's the easiest to kill, that's first. And you'll see that. You'll be like, oh my gosh, that guy's almost dead. That's usually the first thing that people will dive towards. Is that person's easy to kill, we'll just kill him. Second, isolated targets. This is another one that people will just naturally go towards. Is D.Va just dives in, or Winston just dives in with no one else. Hey, that would be very convenient for me to dive onto you. You're the only one with you. We'll bubble straight on you so you can't get healing, and we'll just destroy you. So you find those isolated targets. For example, with the Lucy over there, I'm waiting for an isolated target. And that is perfect right there. And then I dive right on him. But I screwed up the dive. So yeah, we dive on him because he's isolated. And then we just snowball from there. And basically, you pick targets that you can kill. And that's pretty much the gist. Third one is vulnerable characters. This is if you need to force a dive. And that's usually people like Zen, Mercy, McCree, Hanzo. Also in isolated targets, Widow is on the list. If you can get to her. If she's diveable within distance, she's a target as well in the isolated target. But yeah, like vulnerable characters, that's a big thing. Of picking a target that you know can die fast. McCree has little to no mobility. Hanzo, yeah, he can wall climb, and yeah, he can do the little lunge, but it's not really that helpful for him. And then like high value targets, again, Widow, Bastion, Zarya, Torbjorn. Usually the only time you'll see this is when it's like, oh, Torbjorn's turret is giving us issues, or oh, Widow's giving us issues, Bastion's giving us issues, defense matrix and just kill him, or get him off the payload kind of deal. Zarya, she's on high charge, just get rid of her, don't let her leave. This is when you're diving targets that aren't necessarily easy to kill, but they need to die. Likewise with the vulnerable targets, you can say that Zenyatta is a high value target because of his ult. Zenyatta has ult, pressure him, he either dies or he ults. If he ults, we leave. We wait for his ult to go down, we jump back in. That kind of stuff. Pretty simple. And then after that, kill whoever's left. Pretty simple. If you don't have a good dive target, pretty much whoever's left. But you rarely will get past the third one, vulnerable characters. The only time you'll get to high value targets is when you get to certain character specific where they need to die, and that's it. So yeah, I think this has been a fairly long, because I usually go shorter on solo ones, but it's been fairly long. We've been doing this for 51 minutes. So yeah, that kind of wraps it up with all of the stuff. If any of you have questions, go ahead and post them in Twitch chat. I'll wait here for 5 minutes. Maybe a couple minutes. Probably not 5 minutes. And answer any questions you have. Of course, I'm going to be posting this on YouTube, so if you are watching this on Twitch, welcome. Please follow if you want to keep updated. I do more live streams instead of this. I'm looking at doing more VOD reviews. I need VODs though, so if any of you have any videos of their matches they want me to go through, I can do VOD reviews and I'll live stream them. Likewise, I'll do YouTube stuff. I've been posting every day on YouTube. Basically I've been playing 3 games. Cross out. I have been playing Minecraft just because that's where I got started, and I'm an engineer, and that's pretty much where I like. It's fun still. I know it's a kid game, but it's fun. I don't care. And then I'm doing Overwatch. I did do an Overwatch arm aiming guide on my YouTube channel that did not get live streamed or posted on Twitch, so I suggest following those too. Likewise, I'm going to have live streams that aren't going to go on YouTube, so suggest checking out both. And of course, to keep up to date with pretty much all of them, my Twitter account. I do have a Facebook account. The Facebook account is Dryden001. That's for help. But basically, for my Twitter, it is Dryden. Oh yeah, it does reload after taking the entire time to figure that out. But yeah, it's Dryden001, but instead of a 3, it's an E. So DRYD3N001. Or it's at Dryden001. But yeah, you can go ahead and follow me there to keep up to date with all this stuff. I don't post a lot right now. I only post on uploads. But that's just because I don't have any followers, so why would I post anything? But I do post when I'm going live and all that stuff, so I'll probably post more if I get more people. But that's pretty much it. I'm gonna wait a little bit. Let's see if I can go into possibly a quick play match, play that one out. If we have any questions, go ahead and ask them. I think besides that, we're probably just gonna wrap up pretty soon. But yeah, also, if you guys have any suggestions for future strat chats, I know because Garrett's busy at the moment. Once he's not busy, we'll probably cover Elo Hell because that one's been a fun journey I've been on. For those that don't know, I've been stuck in Elo Hell and I figured out why. And pretty much the big reason is I'm a flex player, and when you're playing support and tank, people don't really use support and tanks. So they do things with the idea of they're invincible and then they die. So supporting them's not going to help. It'll keep them alive for a little bit longer, but not going to keep them alive through basically mass destruction. So not too cool that way. But yeah, I believe that's going to be it for today. I'm going to end the YouTube recording, I believe. Or do I want to keep this in? I might want to keep this in. Yeah, I'll stick with it. It'll be a little bit longer, but I think it'll be worth it. Yeah. So I switched to Winston skins. You know, like you do. Boom. Jump in the air. Boom. See? You melee when you hit the ground. There is also the mega jump where you wait till you touch the ground and you jump a little bit. I'm not too big of a fan of it because I don't really see a lot of improvements with it. But it transfers the damage you're gonna do from the ground. But yeah, just wait for your hand to like, boom. So that did a little bit, but you wait till your hand's like about to touch the ground like that. Yeah. So it should be. I've also been very terrible at that. I haven't been able to do that often. So yeah, what I'm doing right here is I'm taking a position where I can't get shot. And the reason is because I create a short pressure zone. Or it's not very far away. So me sticking my head out isn't going to do anything unless they're right next to me, which isn't going to happen. So let's go ahead and boom, and I'm out. See? Let me jump down to get healing. See? Pretty slick. Looks like they're coming the right side. I think I overjumped that one. Let's get on here. Oh, I should have ulted. Got ult just in that time. What a bummer. Yeah, I could have probably... I couldn't get close enough to the Reinhardt. I didn't want to get close enough to the Reinhardt to do the melee stuff. Yep. We got some ults out there. I can live with that. First game of the day, too. Should have probably did a little more warm-up before strat chat. Whoops. Do-do-do-do-do-do-do. It's a hard knock life. It's a hard knock. It's a hard knock life for us. It's a hard knock life for us. Sonny, what should do? It's a hard knock life. It's a hard knock. It's a hard knock. Ah. I think the Mercy decided that, screw me. I was trying my best. I tried so hard and got nowhere. In the end, we got rolled anyways. Had no heart to lose it all. In the end, doesn't even matter. See? See? Perfect. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move back farther here so that I can jump onto that high ground if needed. Actually, I'm just going to do that. Yeah, we're going to wait till... Just going to shoot here. Boom, 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 boom. Let's go back in here to just get healing. Excuse me, pardon. Oh. Oh my god. Let's go. See, flashbang when I'm about to get hit. Let me see if I can try to body block him. McCree was back there, so. Let's get the... See? See, we're in perfect position. We are in like the Flynn. See? So we're back up here. We're down. Did he just... Oh, okay. We are shattered. We can pull back. And we're all good. See? We have my ult back. Perfect. Back up here. Rinse and repeat. Pretty quick and easy. Quick and cheesy. Tried to save him, but it didn't work. Let's get out of here. Oh, he hit me midair. So yeah, I'm just diving on the McCree and just bubbling. Yep, we lost. There we go. That's it. So close. Yep, and that's going to be it. Okay. That's going to be it for me today, so thank you for watching. Remember, like, subscribe, comment. Remember, as always, arrivederci, sayonara, and have a nice day. Bye!